the 9-9.
Aaron Andrade with Georgetown. Shot scores! Aaron
Welcome
Andrade
back
ties it up.
to Puck Talk with the Brantford 99ers. We have reached episode 10. This week, I'm joined by a trade deadline acquisition who has already scored 12 points in 7 games with the 99ers. He is number 81, Aaron Andrade. Aaron, thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me on, Brunel. I appreciate it. I'm excited to be here.
Of course. So let's start with your upbringing in hockey. I know you spent your U16 season with the Toronto Titans, but let's go a few years back and why don't you tell me about, the teams you played for growing up?
I like you did your research. So growing up, I started out when I was like 3 or 4 in the Applewood Coyotes program. Just kind of played there for a few years, played when I was 6, 7. And then when I was about 8, I think it was 8 years old, the novice season, I went over to Meadowvale because the plan was for me to play for the Mississauga Sens come AAA, minor Adam, whatever. So I went to Meadowvale the last year of like novice hockey and then played for the Sens from minor Adam all the way to Bantam. So I played for the Sens for 6 years. So yeah, it was pretty nice. It was all I really knew up to that point was the Sens and that organization, and it was great to me. All 6 years I was there, they gave me a nice jersey here for 5 years of service after the
wow.
5th year. So yeah, I have nothing but good words to say about the Sens organization. So, and then obviously minor midget year, draft year, it was just one of those things where like the Titans came looking for like me to come to their team, and it was one of those where the team was just looking on paper better roster wise. So it was just a decision I had to make to leave. It was a hard decision. I had to think about it for a long time, but in the end I kind of decided to go to the Titans, and it worked out for me, I'd say. So, but anyways, like
for sure as well. I saw that you got 69 points in 63 games. Did you guys go on a deep playoff run that year?
that's a touchy subject. First of all, those stats are wrong. I had 72 points, but we're not going to complain about that too long. Doesn't really matter. But no, playoffs, we got bounced in the first round.
Ooh.
It was game 7 though. Game 7, tough bounce, hit one of our defensemen's chests and went in the net. Like a horrible bounce with like 3 seconds left in game 7.
Oh.
Game was going to overtime. Like I liked our chances in overtime, but it just wasn't in the stars. Vaughn, who beat us, went on like a magical run all the way to the final. Was up 2-0 in the final, and then got reverse swept by JRC in the final.
Ooh.
So we lost to the team that went to the final. So
okay,
you don't want to lose, but if you're gonna lose, then you lose to them. And then we didn't get an OHL Cup because of the whole pandemic. So
right, yeah. Was Koji Carl on that Vaughn team?
So he was on the Sens that year. He'd been on Vaughn every year up until that year and went to the Sens in minor midget.
Okay, interesting. So I saw that in the pandemic year 2020, you did go in the 5th round to the Guelph Storm, which is incredibly impressive. And then after that, you've spent the last 2.5 years in G-Town before getting traded over to the 99ers. So why don't you tell me how you got started in Georgetown with the Raiders, what made you decide to sign there, and your experience there?
So originally, after being drafted by Guelph, I was in contact with the GM over there, and he basically set it up where I was going to play the first season, my 16-year-old eligibility year. I was going to play in Air in the Gouge. It was their first year as a team. They had just transferred over from Kitchener. They just became the Air Centennials, and they were starting a partnership with the Guelph Storm. So the plan originally was to go and play in Air for my 16-year-old year and then kind of sign with Guelph at like the halfway point of the season. But the way COVID turned out, we didn't really get to play any games. We got to play about 2 games or something. So it just didn't work out. And then I started skating with Georgetown because I had a connection with a few of the guys on the team. I needed somewhere to skate. So I started skating with Georgetown. And through those skates with Georgetown during the pandemic, when it came time for the next season, they approached me and said, "Hey, we'd love to bring you on and have you on our roster for your rookie season in junior hockey." So it was kind of between Air and Georgetown. And to be quite honest with you, if I could go back and do it again, I would have played in the Gouge. I would have played for Air in junior B. But my thinking at that point was higher level hockey was going to be better, when in the end you probably should have prioritized development. But in the end, I ended up in Georgetown. I was happy in Georgetown. So played in Georgetown my rookie season. Didn't have the best year, but was a 17-year-old in the OJ, so I wasn't really expecting anything too crazy. Played in Georgetown the next year, new coaching staff, completely new coaching staff, and like new front office and everything. So played in Georgetown the next year, had a better year, and then started the year in Georgetown this year. I don't really want to touch upon this year in Georgetown too much,
Yeah,
but
that's
it
okay.
started off pretty well, and then now I'm here. That's the most important part.
Well, yeah, and you're on an absolute tear with the team. It seemed almost instant that you were able to, fit in. You and Coach Caro, especially at McCabe, your line has just been buzzing ever since you made your transition over here. I saw that you have 85 points, if that's correct, 85 career OJHL points. So you're coming up on a number 100, which is very, very impressive. But let's dive into more about the trade. So when you came to Brantford, you had to get used to another coaching staff, uh, new locker room, new guys. What was your first impression of Mark Joslin and Mike Daly, and your first impression of maybe start with the leadership group on the team?
Okay, so to be quite honest with you, the day I got traded, um, I wasn't expecting anything that day. So I was thinking this was gonna get dragged out absolutely like to the end, like to the deadline. Because I had been I think it was December 20th, I was told that I was gonna be moved. I didn't get traded until January 5th. So I kind of just sat there waiting for something to happen for a long time. So I was under the impression this was gonna get dragged out to deadline day and nothing was gonna happen. Then all of a sudden on, I think it was January 5th in the morning, got a call from my agent saying, "Hey, a deal's been done. A deal's been worked out with Brantford. I'm going to connect you with Dales." So I got on the phone with Dales, talked to him about it, and Dales did a really good job of making sure, because he had known I'd been in the league for a couple of years up to that point, and for the few years I'd been in the league, Brantford was just not where you want it to be.
Absolutely,
There
yeah.
was an older ownership that was in, and it just wasn't a good scene here.
Mhm.
But he made sure to put all those prior notions to rest and say this is a new organization. This is a new mentality, a new everything going forward with this team. This is not the Brantford of old. This is a new Brantford, and I trusted him, and he was 100% correct. There's nothing about this team or this organization that I've seen up to this point resembles what it used to be. This is a completely new organization, and it's been absolutely incredible up until that point. Jazzy and Dales have been nothing but the best. They've been they've been amazing ever since I showed up. First game, they were already just like doing everything that they could to make sure I was comfortable, make sure I was getting integrated with the team. But they can only do so much, and that's when it comes down to the boys. The boys have been absolutely incredible. This is the best group I think I've ever been a part of. I've only been here for I think 20 days or something, but I can already tell you this is a special group. Like there's a lot of great guys on this team, and it really like having a room with chemistry like this is really helping us on the ice, whether it's in practice or in games. But yeah, like I said, there's been like nothing. I've never seen anything like this. The way I've just been able to come in, and it's just like I've been here all year. But it's one of those things, and I don't know if I can. Okay, I can tell this story. So the day I was traded, um, I played a game that night in Markham. You would know.
Yep.
And that night, the night before, because I was under the impression that nothing was going to happen. I wasn't getting traded till the deadline.
Hmm.
So that night, leading up to the Markham game, I was probably running on about 4 hours of sleep max for that Markham game. Just wasn't thinking I was gonna play, and I had just like been to my local gym and just hit a massive leg day. So like I'm on my way to the game on the bus with the boys for the first time, meeting them all for the first time, thinking to myself like, yeah, I might be in one tonight because my legs are dead
For
and I
sure.
have 4 hours of sleep in me. Thankfully, I can tell that story now because thankfully the first game went well. But if that first game hadn't have gone as well as it did, I don't know if I'd be sitting here telling the story right now.
Well, yeah, whatever you did worked because your first goal and an assist in that game. That was a huge 2 points for the team, over a playoff team like Markham. But, touching back on your point about the team, you're right about how it's a completely different scene this year. Like, the new owner, the GM, and, Jaws and Dills, they have worked incredibly hard. The team has quadrupled their win total from last year, and, just from seeing in the room, like, I can tell that, the vets from last year have put last season, like, entirely behind them. Everyone welcomed you with open arms, and it did not take long for you to establish a leadership role in the room. I wanted to touch on your number choice, because as soon as we traded Cole Smith to the Buffalo Junior Sabres, who was wearing number 81, I noticed that you were quick to jump on that. Now, you showed me your jersey. I'm assuming you wore that number, um, all the way up,
As you can
the
see,
saga.
got 81 on the sleeves. I think it might be backwards, but got 81 on the sleeves there.
Now, is there a reason you grew up wearing 81?
I love Phil Kessel. Like I love Phil
Okay.
Kessel. Like when I was growing up watching the Leafs, he was my favorite player, and something about him, it just resonated with me. Like I started shooting off of one foot when I was like 7 years old because I saw Phil Kessel coming on the right wing and taking a snapshot. So I started kind of resembling everything I did in hockey after Phil Kessel, and I ran with it. I still love Phil Kessel. Watching Phil Kessel win the Stanley Cup with the Pittsburgh Penguins like almost brought tears to my eyes when I was a kid because he'd just been slandered by the Toronto media for so long that seeing him go somewhere and succeed and lead the Penguins in points in the playoffs and win the Stanley Cup was just kind of something special to me. But yeah, I don't know what year it was. I think it was the first year I was on the Sens. Because when you're in the Applewood, Meadowvale, like all those things, they only let you pick up to a certain
Yeah, it's like
number.
1 to 30 or something.
Yeah. So once I got to the Sens, and they're like, "Oh, you can pick whatever number you want." I was like, "Okay, let me get creative with this. So I'll take Kessel's number." So I took Kessel's number. I wore 81 all 6 years Sens on the Titans. Any tournament I was in that 81 was available, I wore 81. Got to Georgetown, asked for 81, was told they only go up to 40. So my
Interesting.
first year, I had to pick 24. I went with 24 my first year, because it's my birthday, May 24th. But never again am I going to wear 24. It just didn't go well for me. I didn't like it. Didn't like the way it looked. Yeah. So then the next year, 81 still not available. So I picked the next best thing in my mind was 8. So I picked 8. I wore 8 last year. Wore 8 all the way up until I was traded to Brantford. When I got traded, I looked immediately at the roster to see if 81 was available. I saw it wasn't because at that point Smitty was still on the team.
Yeah.
But then when I talked to Dales, he asked, "What number would you want?" I said, "Well, I'll take 8 because 81's not available." He goes, "Oh no." He goes, "81 will be available shortly. We've worked out a deal with." So obviously, like, not the greatest thing to inherit a number from a guy who has to unfortunately leave the team, but the fact that the number was available for me was pretty special to me.
Well, hey, it all works out for a reason, and I mean, yeah, you modeled your game after Kessel, and it's funny that you bring up Toronto media, but yeah, he had a rough go there. It was awesome to see him lift a few cups. You're 19 right now, Aaron. You have one more year of eligibility in the league. Do you know what your future holds hockey-wise? If you plan to return to the OJHL next season, if you're just taking it kind of day by day, like, what are your thoughts on future career in hockey?
Obviously, just like everyone else, I want to make a career out of this.
Mhm.
Whether that happens or not is completely like not something I have to even like I would even think about right now. Right now, I'm just kind of taking it day by day.
For
You
sure.
want to obviously every day I'm trying to be the best player I can be. Um, if I am playing in the OJ next year, I'm a 99er and I don't want to go anywhere. That's for sure. I would not want to go anywhere. This is where I want to be if I'm in the OJ. And it very well like this has been a great experience since the start. So yeah, like I said, I don't know what the future holds and taking it day by day, but if my future is in the OJHL, it's with the Brantford 99ers.
That's incredible, man. Well, that's great to hear, and I'm glad we were able to acquire you. You've been such a good fit in the locker room, and on the ice. You've been a weapon for us, helping the team make a playoff push. So, we're very glad you're here, and we're glad it's working out, and we're glad that you, most importantly, are enjoying it here.
yeah, it's been awesome, and it's going to continue to be awesome. We're making the playoffs.
Fantastic. That's great to hear. Well, Aaron, thank you so much for your time. Best of luck for the rest of the season and, for your future endeavors, whatever that holds.
Thanks, Brunel. Appreciate it.
9-9! 9-9!
The 9-9.
We're the 9-9.